Welcome to our February meeting. It is our February 18th, 2026 Board of Trustees meeting. I know you all have the agenda and you had a chance to look at the packet and read the draft minutes. So we will start with the period for public expression. Okay.
It's just fun.
Can I please get a motion to approve the minutes from our January 21st reorganization and regular meeting?
I'll make a motion to
Approve
approve.
the minutes?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
I'm gonna
opposed?
abstain because I wasn't here.
Okay. Okay, on to report from the Friends of the Library.
So the Friends had another wonderful luncheon. This time it was at Astia's. Was delicious. I had the fish taco, which almost everybody at my table also had, and also agreed it was delicious. Thank you to Robin and Paula for coming. It was good. And the next one is going to be March 18th at Shippy's. And I did see the menu, and the menu looks fabulous.
What is it? What's on the menu?
What's on the menu?
Yeah.
God, I knew you were gonna ask that. It's fabulous.
Something German.
Smash burger, something German, so there's like some, it's actually quite a long menu. You've got like 3 choices for each meal. And they have some German things and some American things. I think there's a salad. There's a couple of different things. So.
That should be good.
Yeah, and like the Friends are doing great at these
Yes,
lunches.
yeah.
They're really doing well. And what's so nice is I get invited to them, so I get to sit and chat with different members of our community. And it's been really nice. It's been nice to also see that it's not all the same people every time. It's really, there's a lot of repeat visitors, but there's also new people who are coming every now and again. So I'm glad that the Friends have hit on something that has such great community engagement and raises a little bit of money, and like everybody feels like it's a success and a give back to the library. So it's good.
That's great, okay.
How much did they make?
They make about, give or take, they make anywhere between like $15 to $20 a head. So it's not a huge fundraiser. The reason they started doing these is really to improve engagement past just paying your dues to the.
But do they have an accounting? I mean,
They do
do they
have an-
report to you?
They do.
How much did they make last time?
They have not reported yet because they
Oh.
have not met. So they take off the winter months. So
Oh.
they'll meet when they meet again. They'll give me an accounting of that. But they do, as part of their meetings, they don't report to me. They're actually their own separate 501c3. So their treasurer reports to everyone at their meeting as part of the meeting. But they're making, if you're making $20 a head and you have 20 people at each meeting, they're making $400.
Excellent, and they're
which is
doing
not
it
bad.
every month.
And they're doing it every month, which is nice. So.
Okay, any other questions about the Friends? Okay, on to Treasurer's report.
Okay. January, as you can see, our operating accounts ended the month at 141,922. Our Morgan Stanley account is approaching $500,000, so we'll need to keep an eye on that in the next couple of months because we can't go over that. It's not FDIC insured after that. The capital money market account has plenty of money right now for our projects, thank heavens. And then you see our total assets, total investments, and there's a comparison for January 2025, which is coincidentally $2 million less than what we have now, which is how much the HVAC is going to cost. So there's that. So we did, the big capital expenditure expense for January was the updated exterior doors. So that was paid out. The annual appeal brought in another $1,500 in donations in January. which was great. We paid our mortgage as we always do. And as of the 31st of January, we hadn't received the first payment from the school district yet, which is sort of atypical. It usually comes by the end of January, but it did come February 12th. And so I'll report on it next month, but it's about $1.9 million that came in, which is one of several payments we get, but this is a big one.
Yeah, there was changeover in the business office, so
Right.
that's what delayed the payment.
Right, so and reported expenditures for January hit 10.24% of the annual budget. Again, the capital expenditures get factored into that, so it's a little bit higher than our typical operating expenses. Yeah, we've got payroll is typical, and there's the warrant. So that's what I've got for.
Any questions for the treasurer?
Do you want me to talk about?
I think under committee report.
Yeah, great, okay.
Can I just piggyback off of something Megan had
Yeah.
said? With regards to the annual appeal, we did just get another $200 donation today. So that brings our appeal to just shy of $20,000.
That's amazing. Great.
So that's pretty exciting, and we had about 15 more people donate to the appeal this year than last year.
Last year? Fantastic.
So,
It's nice to see that. Wow. Okay, can I please get a motion to approve the financial report and the warrants and the payroll?
I'll motion to approve the financial reports, the warrants, and the payroll. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, treasurer report is approved. Director's report.
so. We got the rare 2-page report out of me. I usually try to keep it down to a page. January has been a little rough, but knock on wood, we are getting through it. The weather, especially towards the end of the month, really directly affected some of our programming. We had to close for 2 days because of that mega snowstorm. But I think we're getting through it. We also had an issue with what we believe is an ice dam on the roof. And excitingly enough, tomorrow the roofing company is coming to look at the roof. I also asked Macaulay, who is our consultant for the HVAC project, to come as well, because I know many things about HVAC, but my roof knowledge is not where it should be. So just nice to have another person who knows what he's looking at up there for us. We are currently short-staffed, just you guys with the personnel report, but also just everybody has the flip. So wash your hands before you wash your hands every day. And let's see, the doors are done. We did have to replace the glass. If you came in, you're like, oh, that's a weird sticker on the glass. The glass was replaced yesterday, which was really nice, which they told me it would take them 2 hours to do. What they didn't tell me was that we couldn't use the door for the rest of the day. So that was entertaining to walk into in the morning. I was like, oh, I wish they would have told me that. I would have said, come in the afternoon, friends. But it's done.
It's done.
We're good. Have not heard one complaint about the door. A lot of people are very happy about it. I think my favorite comment was, oh, good, you changed the doors. Your other door was just weird. And I was like, why was it weird? And they were like, oh, I just didn't like, it was weird how it opened. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're very excited to have our new doors. And I think the ladies who sit at the desk are the most excited because we no longer have a draft coming through
That's
the crack in the door. So it was money well spent. This is sort of in-house stuff, but our fiber, which does our high-speed internet, comes through a coordinated order through the Suffolk Cooperative Library System. Every couple of years, they reevaluate that contract, see if they can get a better price, see if they can get a better connection. This year, they made the decision to move from Crown Castle, which was doing our fiber wire, to Light Path. So we've had Light Path on site a couple of times because Crown Castle is going to take their wires out, and then Light Path is going to put theirs in. So that shouldn't. We've been told it will disrupt nothing. And then after they told me that and left, I laughed good and hard because of course something is going to go wrong. They're doing, like 30 libraries in Suffolk County. So it's something will go awry, I'm sure, but we will manage it. The newsletter is done. It will be out on Friday, so we'll have it in-house on Friday. It'll go to the post office on Friday. It'll probably be in mailboxes on Monday. We have a really nice spring newsletter this year, this season. We're giving Searles the opportunity to be the ones who do the design of it, using what is our basic template. And that's just really because I was doing the newsletter and it's a solid week's worth of work and it prevents me from doing other things. And so we are trying outsourcing it, because nobody else on staff has the skill set with the software to do it, or really, in all honesty, the time. I don't have the time. Our staff members don't have the time. It's time to outsource it. Buildings and grounds met, finance met, policy met. I'll let them talk about that. For those of you who have been at this table for a while, we have to do an annual report to New York State. Baker and Taylor closed last year. Not only did they do books, but they did the software, which has been used for many, 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 many years to calculate the New York State reports. So we had hoped that the new software would be in place and we would all be putting our information into the annual report starting this week. We have not gotten our logins yet, but they're working as quickly as possible. So the annual report may not come across the table to all of you in March. It would be nice if we could do it in March, but I will keep you updated. And that's just by virtue of Baker and Taylor going out of business really messed with libraries on quite a few fronts. So that is that. And then on the second page, it's really advocacy issues. I left you all a newspaper article that was in Newsday earlier this week. As you might remember, one of the items in our strategic plan was for us to become a passport acceptance facility. I had applied this year to become a passport acceptance facility, and they basically ignored my application when I followed up, and they said, "Oh, you don't qualify to be one." And basically, the Department of State has decided that association libraries or not-for-profit libraries do not meet the criteria to be a passport acceptance facility. Why is this important? I think that Newsday article, if you haven't gotten a chance to read it, sort of really points out why it's important. In places like the East End of Long Island, which is predominantly association libraries, it can be very difficult to get to locations where you can process your passport. The post office does it, but as we all know, the post offices are understaffed and overrun and don't do it as frequently. It's not easy to get an appointment there either. For Shelter Island residents, the only place to have your passport processed on Shelter Island is the Shelter Island Library, and they were averaging 100 passports a year that they were processing, which is significant. And so, for the libraries that did do it, it was a really great service for the community, but it was there was a little bit of income to be earned off it, which was kind of nice. If you're a passport agency, you're legally required to charge $30 to do passport. But also it was a really great way to get people into the library who didn't normally use the library, and then they would come in and they'd be like, what is this place with books and toys and people and programs? So, you know, libraries in general are very disappointed that this is no longer a service. we
Does
can offer.
Montauk do it?
Montauk does do it. Montauk can continue to do it because they are a
Oh,
civil
yeah.
service
You're right.
public
What about
library.
Rogers?
Rogers will no longer be
They're an
able to do it.
association.
So it's
Everyone else's association.
everyone else's association library. And in terms of Up Island libraries, the association libraries that are affected would be Port Jefferson, who were the first ones on Long Island to do it and got us all to do it. And then also, I think MS Clark, which is in Setauket.
So people from other East End communities can go to Montauk? Or is it just
Yeah,
Kansas?
they can, but they have to
They're
go all the way
gonna
up to
love
Montauk.
that. But
Um,
it's worth it.
And
Yeah.
so it's frustrating. There are two federal bills, HR 6997 and S 3733. I would just encourage you to reach out to your reps, Lalota, Schumer and Gillibrand. And, you know, let them know that you are very much in favor of this, especially since for individuals who do not have, like, to fly, you either need to have your real ID, which you get from the DMV, or you need to have your passport. And then, you know, if you know, the Saves Act does pass, you will need a passport to
For
vote.
sure.
So just for all of those reasons, it's kind of really important that we make getting a passport easier. And then also, again, I know you guys have seen this 3 times, but it's New York State budget season, advocacy season. Please take a look at our legislative priorities. They are, of course, open shelves and freedom to read, which are very important, and that is to protect librarians and school media specialists in the cases of book banning. And then there's some other budget requests that are put forward, but I strongly encourage you to look at the NYLA information, and whenever NYLA sends out one of those take action things, it literally takes you 2 minutes to do it.
Listen,
And well, 2 minutes to do it, like a minute for you to do it, and then a minute for you to send it to all of your friends. And so that is really what I have in my report. I did email you all today, but I did want to mention the Spring on the Hill Conference, which is Tuesday, May 19th. They opened registration for that conference. If you want to go, please let me know, because I'd like to book hotel rooms, you know, by Monday at the latest, because they kind of fill up in the block. It's an all-day conference in Albany, so that's where we're at.
It's the weekend of Memorial Day is the only,
Is
the
it
big challenge.
May
That
18th?
is-
May.
No,
The
March
19th?
the 19th?
It's the
Okay.
19th.
May 19th is a Tuesday.
Okay, so I know I have commitments on the 24th and it's like, oh boy, I don't really want to be, anyway.
Yes, I get it.
Okay,
So-
it's before Memorial Day.
It is. It's the before. So, but it is probably, is that school vote date too? So you might have to vote. through
Oh,
the
is it
budget.
for budget? Oh.
Sometimes that happens. They have to
Yeah,
kind of, they,
that's right, it's statewide.
Yeah. yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
tricky.
That has happened in the past, and
Yeah.
I mean, if you all like to vote in person, please by all means vote in person. If you want to go to this, you can always vote by absentee ballot,
That's
which is what I have done. The other thing I do want to mention, since we're talking about voting and ballots, you may have seen this on social media. We have representatives from Suffolk County Board of Elections coming out on Friday, the 27th. So not this Friday, next Friday, with their shiny new voting machine. So they're changing the voting machines out, so it's not that little Scantron paper and, you know, suck it in with your sleeve. And they will be out to answer any questions, do a little petting zoo sort of activity where you can touch the
Here?
voting machine. Here, yeah,
Oh,
at the library. They'll be here pretty much all day on Friday, the 27th.
Will they also go to the school? Because that's where most of the voting.
They,
So you have to come to the
You
library.
have to come to the
learn.
library. They're actually
like that.
popping up in libraries all over Suffolk County.
Yeah.
Because we have the space for them. And so please come check out the new voting machines and ask Board of Elections your questions. They really would like you to do that. That's good. So that is my report.
So the New York State end of year report that you're saying potentially will come to us in March, be completed in March. Does that encompass this information here?
It does.
Okay,
Um,
so we'll see 2025. Do we have 2024, 2023 completed as well?
Oh, yeah, you saw them in 2025 and 2024.
So can 2025?
Yes, you saw 2024's report in in February.
Yeah, so 2025. So when we see them the next time, well, when this one is complete, either in March or April, can we see 2024 and 2023, 24 and 25 together so that we get sort of like a trend picture?
Sure, I can absolutely do that for you. What might be the best way to do that is to have it as an agenda item, sort of separate from the annual report, because you're only approving the annual report for last year. But we can have it as an agenda item, and I'll put together a nice little slide deck, and we can talk about trends, we can talk
Okay,
about
great.
outliers, you know, whether the outlier be weather, you know, because there's just some things that sort of look strange, like in February of this year, you're gonna look and you're gonna be like, oh, we had 12 people for our community program, which is Harbor Frost. Well, there was Harbor Frost, but there was no real Harbor Frost this year. So it directly affected our numbers. So I'm happy to do that, and I'll do it in conjunction with the annual report, once that is up, whether that be March or April.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions about the director's report? Okay, we're going to have to well, approve the personnel report. Can I get a motion, please, to approve the personnel report?
Motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Second.
What was the personnel report?
The personnel report is in there, because it's confidential information. We approve the personnel report, but we don't discuss it in open meeting.
It was in the packet?
It was page 51.
Yeah. Page 61, okay.
51.
51.
I'll show it to you. I have it. If you want to take a look, Paula, this is what it looks like. Okay, so,
Thank you.
okay, so Dan made a motion to approve the personnel.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Lori, second, can I, all in favor of the personnel report? Any in, opposition? Okay. Well, okay, so it's all in favor, okay, personnel report is accepted. Okay, on to committee reports. Personnel, I know did not meet. Finance, budget, met.
We did meet, we were all there, Lori, Anna, myself, Diane and Kelly, and we took the opportunity just to sort of bring especially Lori up to speed, because it's a new committee for her, just in terms of what all the accounts are and how they flow and how things go. And our agenda items were really to talk about the change orders for the HVAC that were coming through, making sure we had the funding for that, and then also to take a look at our investment strategies for the upcoming year. Over the last year or so, we've been, and rightfully so, really focused on like maximizing the interest rates, and because we have this big project coming up, we wanted to make sure we were shored up. And in that, we've sort of the investments, which are mostly, well, there's CDs and treasury bills right now coming due. They've got on a schedule where they're not as evenly spread as they once were, and we really wanted to find the sweet spot we were saying about maximizing our investments, but also spreading the investments out. Just so that we had around 470,000 coming due each quarter, so that's a nice net for us to have. And then also with changing interest rates, if we hit a quarter that's not so advantageous in terms of interest rates, we don't have to put a whole bunch of our eggs into that, sort of sad basket. We can sort of spread it out and hopefully, weather any storm that might be coming our way, kind of thing. So we did that. Well, we talked about it. Kelly had a conversation with Lania at LPO, which is our investment firm. And she put forth a strategy, sort of going back into T-bills. She feels they're more flexible and the investment points are just slightly below CDs, but it'll allow us to start reinvesting into a more spread out calendar. If anyone wants like details and numbers and months and stuff like that, I can give that to them, but we as a committee came to a consensus that that was a good idea and a good plan, and so we're gonna move ahead with that.
The goal is to have about $472,000 come due quarterly.
Right. So January, April, July,
And
October. So that's the.
So that it's good to have that structure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's the money that, we spend. That 472,000.
Well, it's
Like-
it's what we have in our investments, and so we have been using that money. The real purpose of that money was to fund things like capital projects.
Mhm.
And that's what we've been doing. So the HVAC project has been funded through our investments, not through our operational budget or anything like that. So that's really the purpose of it. And so we wanna, we're not in the business of making money as a library, but we certainly feel like it's in the best interest of the library to be mindful of potential earnings that we could have, for,
Reserves
a
are
rainy day
capital,
kind of
too.
thing.
yeah.
Reserve
And-
capital keeps us a point ahead of inflation.
yeah.
And it
And
keeps
so-
us ahead of inflation.
So just by, to catch you up, so when Kathy Creedon was excellent at raising money, especially as part of the restoration and expansion of the library. And so when that project was ultimately completed, there was money left over and people still really liked giving us money, which was great. And so that money basically was in our reserves. It wasn't making a lot of money. We decided to invest in treasury notes. Then the interest rates sort of got crazy, which was great. And now the rates are going back down, so we're not going to necessarily see the returns that we used to. But we have been trying to use that money to make repairs and upgrades to the building to keep the library, sort of in good shape and beautiful. So as a result of our capital reserves, we were able to do our glow up, which was the redo of this floor, and to fix the shelving on the 2 upper floors. And then also the HVAC project without going out to the taxpayers and asking for money for that. So that's really, it looks like we're holding on to a lot of money in our reserves, but the reality of the situation is we're supposed to hold on to a certain amount. And Al will talk about this when he goes over the audit with the board. A certain amount for operating, just in case we don't get our check from the school in a timely manner. And then also, in case anything happens that we need to prepare.
So the 472,000, once again, what is that?
That's times 4. So
Yeah,
we have,
quarterly.
I don't have the ladder in front of me, but right now our total investments are just under 2 million. So, but right now, like in February, I think it's like 290 is maturing. But like when we get into, I think it's September, we have like $1 million, so because the CDs that we invested in sort of to max out that percentage rate and earning potential, they weren't all 6 month or they weren't all 12 month, some were 3, I think some were 3, some were 6. So it got just a little choppy, and it was also because as the HVAC rolled out, we weren't really sure, we knew some things, but we wanted to be prepared for anything, you know, so we didn't want all of our money hung up in a 12-month thing if we were gonna need to access those funds.
So that 472,000 is liquid, it's to be used.
It becomes liquid quarterly, so
Right.
right
Yeah.
now. Our ladder has like two rungs, if you're thinking of a ladder, like one is up here and one is way down here. The goal is to have the ladders, the rungs evenly placed, so every quarter, $472,000 comes due, and if it's like, oh, we need to repair the roof, now we can take part of that out of that, and then reinvest the rest. So it's just making sure that the money comes due in such a way that it's there if we need it,
If you need it.
but it's still,
You know, without incurring penalties, we
Yeah.
don't wanna do
Right.
that.
we don't wanna have to
So,
Yeah.
sell something
Okay.
early.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Cool, thanks. That was the treasurer's report, unless anyone in the committee wants to add anything to
Nope,
that.
finance.
Finance
Finance.
committee.
Oh, like, thing, whatever. It's the money report.
Money.
The money report.
Okay,
Unless
good.
anyone wants to add anything on it or.
Buildings and grounds met, most of which we're gonna be talking about in new business. We reviewed the estimate for putting in upgrading the security system and the change orders for Belfour. And what else are we talking about?
Security system Belfour, we did talk briefly about the issue with the seal.
Oh, yeah, so
busting.
so when the AFAC had an issue, it resulted in a blown seal in one of the pressure differential system, which has been resolved and the system is functioning. They're going to want to, and it's going to be, we're going to have a buildings and ground meetings, but we should get an additional pump. So if we have any issues with the pumps, they can just swap in a new pump, take the old pump to get repaired. There's limited downtime if we do it that way. So buildings and grounds will meet to discuss that, and by then Kelly will have gotten more quotes on the duct cleaning, and we will be discussing that.
And the duct cleaning, is much more involved than one would think it would be. So I just assumed it was like a guy with a dustbuster, like, I don't know why, like it seemed, maybe I was confusing it with duct cleaning. So buildings and grounds is gonna have to discuss
Yeah,
how involved that is.
so before we leave tonight, maybe buildings and grounds can sort of set up a tentative, or not
Why don't we
tentative,
do
but
it right now? Can we
Do
it
what?
right now?
the
Where-
schedule for the next
Buildings and
buildings and grounds.
Let's do this, can we wait to do that until I have 3 quotes
Oh,
Yeah.
from the duct?
all right.
Absolutely.
That would make my life, because I don't want to schedule a meeting and be like,
Got the quotes.
I don't
That's fine.
have everything.
But we'll need to have one before the next board meeting.
Okay, and I also I'm hoping that perhaps we'll have information about the roof
Yeah.
as well.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Okay, policy and long range planning.
We met, to review the bylaws and certain policies that, were out of date or legally insufficient or in conflict with other policies. And we made some changes. They were sent to the attorney. They've come back and we have to meet again. And then it has to be presented to the entire board for review and then voting. So we have to make an appointment for that committee meeting as well at the end of tonight, I guess, or now.
Can we do it via email tomorrow? Is that okay? Like, do you want to do it now? I mean, we can meet, if you want to select the date now, I just
You
don't
mean, be emailed to select a date tomorrow?
email to select a date, like,
Oh,
can we
select the date,
can we
not
select
for
a
the
date?
meeting.
No,
I
no.
can meet tomorrow.
That's fine, no,
I
we
figured
can,
if
we can,
do it after the fact and everybody then has their planners in front of them.
yeah,
Okay, sure.
Cause I'm still between my planner and my desk calendar and I have to marry them before I commit to anything.
Okay,
Um,
alrighty.
Okay.
Mash Park, I attended the Mash Park board meeting. Liz Joyce presented She is the proprietor of Goat on the Boat, a puppet theater, and she does a summer program there. So she's going to do that again. And then we talked about other summer camps that will repeat again this summer. One is called A Beautiful Game. It's a soccer camp. The park will meet with the school to discuss their contract. The school district pays the park for usage, and that will be on February 23rd. And Summer Hill Landscaping is, I love this, they're coming in to remove 100 cubic yards of leaves and twigs. You know, they wake up and clean up the park every fall and they throw them back field. So it's mutually beneficial. The park doesn't pay for it, and then Summer Hill gets all this stuff that they can mulch and use in their fields. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. Old business.
Okay, so the HVAC, so, I guess. I feel like you're so tired of hearing me go, we're almost done, but we're almost done. So the glycol injector system was installed yesterday. It's very pretty. I don't have my keys, but I can always get them and we can go look at it after the meeting if you're into looking at glycol systems. But the system, since that little blip, has now been up and running and functioning, and I let them take the heaters and the electrical cords away. I let them take the heaters away first because somebody else needed them to heat their home. But I made them keep the electrical cords and I told them they could finally take it away today. So the system is up and running and functional. The glycol system's in. Dave with Traditional, who did the mechanicals for the project. We had a not teary goodbye over the phone today. He said, I think we're done. And I was like, I think we're done. So the mechanicals part is done. We are still waiting for Train to come out and replace the compressor in the chiller, the one that is under warranty. And the vents, the sound attenuating blankets, need to be replaced. The fence guy did not put the right ones in, so that will take place closer to the spring once the snow is melted and they can take the fence off and put the proper blankets in and then put the proper blankets around the unit that is in there now. And we are still working on the controls, the BMS. So the BMS company has to put controls on the glycol feeder system, so that if we run low on glycol, I get an alert. And so I'm waiting for the change order for that and then for them to install that. Why do we want that on there? It's because if we suddenly drop to like a low glycol level in the injector system, that means we have a leak somewhere. So it's like a double check to confirm that, like, all right, we're leaking glycol, like we're leaking water, we're leaking glycol somewhere. So right now the outstanding parts are the fence and the fence blankets, the compressor and the controls. But
Can I ask
other
you
than
something?
that,
Will that fence blanket have to be replaced every year if the weather is terrible? or
No.
is it-
no, it's meant, there will be replacement of it at some point, but not, it should last
Should
like
last for-
15 years.
Will be got done by
And then we have
We
landscaping,
won't be on
What?
the board.
then we have landscaping.
And then the landscaping
done.
is done. We may have to, come back and address something, like when it was a tough winter. So like right now, I know that there's a bush by where the fence is that needs to be reset. But the landscaping was already completed. And then our regular landscapers will come in and fix the clover. We also have asked them to, and this is something that's been laying over for a couple of years now. When one of the members of the Friends had passed away, the Friends had decided to give us money to put additional flowering bulbs like we have on this side. So we have, I call them the Seuss plants, but they're alliums. To put those on the other side to sort of match what we have on this side. And so we'll have those planted as well because we were given money by the Friends to do that. So it's designated funds. So our grounds will start looking really nice. The other thing we're gonna do is those planters that we have in the front. You know, when I got here, the trees that were in there were dying. We tried to replace them with something that was a little more hardy. They're also not living up to their best potential. So what we're gonna do in those planters is we're gonna plant them seasonally. So that, you know, they're always big and full and bright, pretty. And we don't have sad trees.
So that would be nice if we could get that donated.
That's the goal I'm working on.
Yeah.
So.
Somerville.
I had one question, for, pieces of the HVAC that haven't been completed. There's the glycol seal, right?
No, everything is done with. All the glycol is done with,
It
so all
is? Okay.
all the glycol stuff is done,
Yeah,
with the exception of the. Control sensors being placed on it, so that remotely we can monitor the
Okay.
glycol system.
so Dan, you were talking about a seal. What was that for? I'm
So
sorry.
in the differential system in the glycol, that's what failed.
Yeah,
They had to replace this seal. It's not just like a rubber O-ring. It's
yeah,
it's
it's
over.
more complex, yeah.
Right, so they replaced that and that's
They
what
have done
they
that,
have done it. It's finished.
great.
So actually, it's the glycol is mixed in with the water in the system. So, we did lose some glycol when the seal burst because we lost water, so we lost one, right? That has since been fixed, but the seal was actually on the main hot water pump. And so when that went, that is why we were without heat, because no hot water pump, no heat.
Okay.
That was corrected. It was corrected within somewhere between 48 and 72 hours. I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but that's when we had the discussion about having a backup pump, and the importance of having a backup pump is
Right.
you can't just like get a pump off the shelf. So if you have a backup pump, the repair takes 4 hours instead of potentially 4 days.
Much less downtime.
Yes,
Okay. Is that it for old business?
that is it. For all.
Okay, on to new business.
Do you want me to go over the list of these change orders and new business? Cause I have it in front of me, but it just I know everybody has a copy. of it,
Everybody
right?
has a copy.
Okay,
It's up to you, Dan. I'm happy to do it.
that's fine.
Okay, so we can start with the first one, which starts on page 52 of your board packet, which none of you have in front of you, so let me pop that up for you. Okay, so this is the one that I had put in the email out to the board when I sent out the board packet that was not reviewed by the Buildings and Grounds Committee. Basically what it was is it was a clerical error between GW Craig and Belfour, and Belfour did not catch it before they paid for it. So it's piping from the mechanical room to a different location on the chiller. And basically for the BMS equipment to work, it needs to be wired from the chiller into the building. When we all met on site at a construction meeting, ACS asked the electrician to do that work for them. The electrician, instead of billing us directly or billing ACS and ACS billing us, billed Belfour, and Belfour approved it, cut the check and paid it. So we owe Belfour this money for this first change order. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so the next change order is on page 57. And this one is for the drain pan piping. We already approved this back in December. But this is the official AIA document approval of it. If you may recall, the drain pan would basically like catch the water and then just dump it onto the cement pad. in the winter, it gets icy, somebody could. But also the water then, has the propensity to roll downhill and wash out some of the landscaping seeding that was done. I did ask them about reclaiming that water, to use for irrigation, and, they said, like, it's actually not that much water, it looks much worse than it is. But it really generally only happens in the wintertime when you're not watering anything. So they were basically like, the juice is not worth the squeeze on this one. And they recommended just piping it to the dry well that is out there, which we have done. I just want to also mention that this is not water that contains glycol. It's just water. All right, so it's not anything that's coming out of the system and into the drain pan. It's sort of like, like when it's built up condensation that freezes and then drops. So that is that one. The next one, which is change order number 6, just on page 61, is insulation for the 2 chilled water pumps. It's insulation for the 2 chilled water pumps. It wasn't part of the original scope of the project. It's important to insulate pumps from an environmentally friendly, energy efficient standpoint, and it also protects the equipment.
That's too bad.
We did. So that is that one. Glycol. So the lion's share of the cost for this project, for all the change orders, is the glycol. So this one is like $27,548.47 in new glycol for the heating unit. Glycol is a lubricant. It is also basically an antifreeze. It helps with the longevity of the equipment. It is also good to have it in equipment that is also outside so that we don't have any sort of freezing in the pipes. When this system was designed and spec'd, you could either go glycol or not put glycol in the system. Train said, yes, that is true, but you should probably put glycol in the system. That's the first half of that. The second half of that is at some point during the use of the geothermal system, Enron, who is servicing the equipment, who will be servicing the equipment after our warranty is up. Again, because we like Enron, had introduced glycol into the system, and basically once you go glycol, you don't go back. So we needed to add glycol into the system. It's a one big time expense. We're not going to be buying almost $30,000 worth of glycol anytime in the near future. So that is that one.
So is it kind of self-contained at this point that it's not, does it need to be added to, does it like degenerate in a way that it needs to be added to yearly, or not really? It's kind of within the system and stays there?
It's within the system and it stays there. There is a certain amount of,
It's supposed to be a closed system, right?
it's a closed system, so you don't lose a ton of glycol. You do lose water by virtue of part of the system is getting the water very hot, so you have steam. So there's a certain amount of wiggle with regards to the amount of water in the system, and when it's a little more water is added to the system, right? When it needs a little less, I guess water comes out of the system. But generally it's water adding to the system and then just natural loss through humidity or evaporation. There are times when more glycol may need to be added, but that's basically related to there needs to be a certain percentage of glycol to the amount of water in the system. So when the water is sort of replacing, there might be a time when it was like, oh, your glycol is a little low because we've added more water, so we're gonna up the glycol. So you're not talking about a ton of difference. Now, if we ever had an issue where perhaps a major repair had to be done, if we had a leak, that would obviously change the glycol level, and then that would put more glycol in, but that glycol injection system sort of adds like just a little, when we need it to keep it at the proper ratio.
If there was a leak, would there be environmental damage or?
No, so glycol, what we have is what's considered food grade glycol,
Okay.
right? So if it's a, you know, like a small leak, if it's a little bit, it's like, it's not, we don't suddenly become a Superfund site, or like need to have like a huge cleanup.
Yeah.
If we were to have a situation like where we had complete failure of the system and we were draining all of the water with the glycol in it, and that's our next change order is, where we had to have it environmentally disposed of properly, not because of the glycol per se, but because of whatever contaminants were already in the system that the glycol picked up on the way up. So as you know, we had fouling. Water is, I mean, we all like to pretend it's, you know, two hydrogens and an oxygen, but, you know, there's other stuff in the water, right? Minerals and, you know, there's stuff that's on the pipes and stuff. And so really the glycol reclamation, was reclaiming the glycol and all the goo that was in the system that it sort of took with it. Does that make
And
sense?
is there a maintenance
For the glycol.
schedule, yeah, for this system?
For the system, so we keep a maintenance schedule with Amron. And they come out and tune up the system and make sure everything's working. And then they also replace our filters quarterly. We would keep them on as our maintenance. The work by Traditional is guaranteed for a year. So if we were to have any major issues, it would be Traditional who would come out and fix it. But we do have an HVAC maintenance contract that we pay for annually.
Do you have any sense of what the maintenance schedule for this new system, forget about it failing, just like when it was working, the
Quarterly.
was quarterly,
It's
but is there like
quarterly.
a cost differential between like what the system will cost versus the
Geothermal?
Yeah,
Thermal.
or is it not, I mean, is it nominal? I mean, I'm just sort of curious.
I don't want to give you the wrong answer, because I don't have the maintenance schedule in front of me. There's the annual maintenance, which is where they come over and they look things up and they're like, all right, we're good here, where, you know, this is what we're charging you for filters, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
The way the maintenance contract works is that we pick up the phone, we call them, they come out, they fix it, they bill us for what they do. And by virtue of having a maintenance contract, we pay a different fee
Right.
than if we just called them.
Right.
You know, and I think we get like one service call for free or something like that. But again, don't quote me on that because I don't have that in front of me. With regards to the change in cost, my guess is it would be comparable in cost for the maintenance contract. Because what they're doing in terms of maintenance really isn't different. What we will see a savings in is all of the repair calls.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I did not budget any more money for maintenance of the system.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's gonna stay about the same, and again, that's just by virtue of what is considered maintenance of the system.
Yeah, no,
hasn't really
I'm not
changed.
as well versed as you in
No, I know.
HVAC systems, so I don't know.
You don't know everything there is to know about an
I
HVAC
know,
system by
I
now.
know.
It's okay. I'm gonna
I
be
didn't wanna know about the money part.
Yeah.
Money.
Money.
The money.
Love that down.
So the next change order, actually, I fibbed. Was the disposal of the glycol. And again, that was very expensive because, again, you're environmentally properly disposing of gunk. Gunk, of course, being the absolute scientific term. So the next one we're talking about are the suction diffusers. And again, that was something, we talked about, and what the suction diffusers do is they basically assist in the, making sure that the filters that filter out like the stuff that's in the water, doesn't clog the filters.
Gunk.
The gunk. So the gunk in the water, it basically catches, helps to prevent the filters from being, gunked up and us having to have somebody come out and clean the filters all of the time. Because they're actually very fine mesh, the filters. So everybody said, yeah, that's a good idea. We should do that. And then on page 83, there's 9 of these. So I promise we're almost done. We're on 10. So the next one is the portable heat pumps, ducts and extension cords. And this is just basically for rental from Sunbelt for the units that was in the archives. So while we were worried about heat on the lower level, we were worried about keeping the archives cool and the humidity appropriate. So that's just, we had those in a lot longer than we had anticipated. So we have to pay Sunbelt their money. Page 86 is, we're almost done, I promise. Is that glycol feeding system. Again, you guys approved this at the December meeting, but this is basically, there was a small change to it. The amount of money, and that is basically, electrical work for G-Craig was added, but, because there was electrical that needed to be done. Doesn't work without electricity. And that's that glycol feeding system, which I said, if you all wanna look at it later, we can. It's pretty, it's cute. Does what it's supposed to do. And then change order number 12, which is on page 91, is for 12 2-inch deflection restrained spring mounts, which are 6 pieces. And what is that? They're basically springier springs than what was first spec'd out in the system. So you may have heard me call them in the past vibration isolators. The plans were to include vibration isolators, which basically put the unit up on springs, for lack of better terms, so that when the unit is running, it's not bouncing off the concrete pad. There's a little bit of springiness to reduce the noise that the system makes.
Vibration into the
The
system.
vibration, yes, the vibration makes noise. And so these just provide better vibration, noise prevention. And so we want to do that because we would very much like to have this machine work as quietly as possible. So when I say they're springier springs, that is, you know, sort of like a very sort of childish way to say it, but that's basically what they do. They help with the sound attenuation by reducing the amount of vibration from the machine, the
And they've been
noise from
installed?
vibration.
They've already been.
They've already been installed. This was an early on thing. So a lot of these were things that were decided early on. We talked about as part of my report on the HVAC. But when it comes to the cost and billing of it, there's a lot of conversation between like, does this fall under ways and means? Was this in fact in the system? How was it spec'd? Who's sort of fighting, not fighting, but discussing like, who picks up the tab for this, right? Is this, you know, something that was in the original specs or not? So it's sort of like, when you have a big building project, at the end of it, you have a certain amount of like mopping up of change orders where it was things that you agreed to do because you need to do them to move the thing forward, but you're sort of discussing the specifics of the money part, the part that comes due when they bill us towards the end. Does that make sense? And that, thank you all, 'cause I know that that is
So
a lot, is all the change
We have
orders.
to vote on that, right?
What?
But the vote,
You have to vote on all of the change orders. Two of them you did already approve, but I would recommend
Okay.
that we approve all of them again.
Okay.
Now that they have their proper
Okay.
IA.
Do we have to vote individually, or do we?
No,
we go-
I-
Can do
I-
consent.
I'd like to make a motion to approve all the outstanding change orders for the HVAC system.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, change orders are approved.
Excellent. All right, so security system,
And
so
thank you, that was huge.
it was,
Emphasis.
so,
One
but
day we won't be talking about.
we're almost done, she said, for
Yes or
the
no?
27th month in a row.
I know.
Um,
I like doing it.
So the security system. So one of the things that had come up is now that we have this piece of equipment on the side of the building that is sort of surrounded by a fence is sort of an attractive nuisance, and do we want to make sure that we have eyes on it or cameras on it? We do have a security system in the building. We do have cameras sort of in and around the building, not in every spot that we need them. But where they chose to put them during the renovation and expansion. And so in looking towards putting one on the side of the building, we had the opportunity to upgrade the spaces where we didn't have them, where we probably should, including there's no security camera on the Gale Slevin Plaza, which is basically the front entry to the building. There's no camera in any of the rooms that we let people borrow. So like this room, there's no camera. There's no camera in the scholar study. There's no camera in the workroom, which is on the main floor. We also have a couple of spots where visually we don't have a good line of sight. And so we would want to put cameras in so we would have that visual. We don't have any cameras in the rotunda. Everybody thinks actually the smoke detector is a camera. It's not. And then we also don't have a camera on the main floor entryway vestibule. So just to give everybody sort of an idea of how the cameras work here, they are what is considered after event cameras. Nobody, like we don't have like a CCTV that's sort of up and somebody's monitoring it every day. Basically every time I have to look at what's going on the camera, which has been like 3 times in the 5 years I've been here, I have to remember how to log in. And so, basically, if there's an issue, the camera is there to assist the library in, if it's a slip and fall, we can say, oh, this person, didn't actually fall, they just threw themselves on the ground instead, like ouchie. If we have an issue where, God forbid, there is a difficult interaction between a staff at a staff service desk, we would have visual of whatever that may be. We did at one point have, this was long before I was here, but there was an incident with a patron where they did throw a beverage at a staff member. It would have been nice to sort of have that, if need be, have something like that on camera. And so they're after event cameras. They are taken from an angle which is not on the staff, but from the other angle. So it would be from a patron use point, because we want to be able to see, whatever the incident might be.
Good question. Does the liability insurance mandate any of this?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Yeah.
Would be the short answer to that. They are obviously happier, if we have them, and the more that we have for that specific
Maybe we get a
reason.
discount.
I will
think you should. Yeah,
I will
notify
let
them.
Joe Price know that we are putting in more when he does our
Good point.
renewal.
Sure.
The other,
Insurance?
the other place we are putting cameras is in all of the mechanical closets. And when I say all of the mechanical closets, basically like this closet, mechanical closet, and the one up on on the roof in what we call the penthouse. And that's really because, if a smoke detector is going to fail, it's going to be, either 2 o'clock in the morning, or it is going to be, in the middle of a nor'easter. And so instead of having to go up on the roof to make sure that the building is not actually on fire, we will be able to pull up the camera and go, no, the building is not on fire. Dan does not have to run down to the library, go on the roof in the wind and, make sure that it's not on fire, right? Because that's, as head of buildings and grounds, it's Dan's job to get up at 4 a.m.
And we have eyes on the bike rack.
We have eyes on the bike rack
Okay.
already. We have eyes on the lower level plaza. We have eyes on the children's room. We have eyes on all the elevators. We have eyes most places that we could put them. But a lot of it was related to not, the technology has changed. And
Yeah.
so there was also like not wanting, having trouble figuring out the wiring in such a way in the historic building that it wouldn't be ugly and obtrusive, or like the wireless technology wouldn't consistently fail, if that makes sense.
Will there be a connection or a marriage between the old system and the new system?
There will, and so that's the other part of the scope of work as part of this. So the quote is actually broken out into three parts, and let me just pull it up here for you. 97 here. So the first part is the server. Servers only live so long. We've hit the 10 to 15 year mark for everything in this building related to the building project. So there was stuff that was ordered and installed in 2012 because it was the building project that just would never end, as you all may remember. And the building actually opened up and started working in 2016. So like sort of the stuff that was done at the end of the project is now 10 years old. The stuff that was done at the beginning of the project is getting close to 15 years old. So the server, it's just time. So you're looking at, $14,000 to upgrade the server, which is something we would need to do anyway for the system. You're looking at upgrading. The second part is the video management system. They gave us a deal on the video management system. So they were able to swap out our old licenses for the cameras that are currently in here, sort of do like a wash. And so we do also need to replace the video management system. We're upgrading that. The current system that we use, we could certainly keep for the cameras that we have. But if we're adding new cameras, it doesn't make any sense. And this system is no longer receiving upgrades, which means at some point it will no longer be supported. So it's time to do that part.
The old iPhone trick.
It is the old, like basically our system is breaking, if you like that sort of
And
terminology.
obsolescence.
But again, it's,
Those.
you're looking at technology that's old. And so here we are. And then the final part is those additional security cameras. The other thing I did want to mention with regards to the security cameras, because I think it's important, is they do not get the streets. So we work very hard to make sure the security cameras do not get any of the streets or anybody's houses. And that is because we do not want to police every fender bender that takes place on Main, Union, and Jefferson. And also because of library law 4509, which states that if the police would like to view the footage in our security cameras, they actually have to have a court-ordered subpoena. And so it's easier for us not to have any, to say like, oh, sorry, we don't get the streets, because we don't, which is a good thing.
So do we have to vote to approve this?
You do, I've had
Okay.
Christian working on this since December, so
Yeah.
if everybody feels good about this.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, how long is the footage stored? Can you go back
Uh,
6 months for
I think it's
to
3
look
months.
at? Mhm.
It's either 30 days or 90 days, I think. I can confirm and get,
I was
back to
just
you?
curious, and do we have to have signs around the library letting people know that there are cameras, or no, that's not?
I mean, my
Okay.
feeling is sort of they're open and obvious. We probably should
Absolutely.
have signs that say it, just because we should.
Yeah,
I
I
can
think so.
certainly,
The
but-
entryways, like just, this
Yeah.
property
Yeah,
is
one
on
sign.
surveillance.
Yeah.
Legally, you have to tell people that.
that they're
Open
under,
together.
I
I,
would check that.
I,
I think a sticker on the
we do.
doors would be.
I think we can just
solid.
do a sticker on the door. I think that is fair.
They didn't say anything to you about that.
They did not,
That's just
but
what I
also
wanted.
like, we already have a security system, so.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good question.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
If
thing.
they have a
Thank you.
sticker,
Yeah, maybe.
because they might,
Provide it.
they might have a sticker that they can
Alarm
give us.
companies provide you with.
I know
No,
that we
I don't
do,
think you can video record people without letting them know.
well, it's a security system, right? So it's not sound, it's just video. I'll look into it. We'll do it anyway, because I think it's a good thing to have. But I mean, like, like, I'm not sure that when I walk into like J. Crew and Tanger, they have a sign on the door that says I'm being.
Max, even the other, I was at
But-
Rogers, I didn't see any sign.
But I
Just
think,
because you don't, so we just had this for my HOA. and
Yeah.
I think legally you have to let people
People
know that there are surveillance cameras active in the area.
really, I know
Yeah,
that
hurts.
we are required to post it. I know that I'm inclined to believe you, and I do believe you. I know that we're legally required to post in the staff room, that we have cameras and that, like emails and, use of the library's Google system is periodically potentially monitored, so I'm
Well,
not
not as a
surprised.
consideration of, and, a legality, but also maybe someone will second guess
Yeah, it'll
being
deter,
a little
right.
naughty
Yeah.
when they,
Yeah.
like eating the chicken and putting the bone in the stack.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, if they. That
Oh, that would be
Yeah, that happened.
That happened.
So,
Yeah.
if they knew they were being, if they knew that there was a camera, like watching them eat the chicken and.
I know who did that, and I'm pretty sure it would not have deterred them.
I'm just saying, like,
I know.
maybe, but
Maybe.
It might-
it might cross their mind, they're like, hey.
I think
I
my
think you
favorite
could
part
just put it
was,
on the outside.
I think
I
my
don't think
favorite
it has to be
Right.
at every.
Yeah.
probably put a sticker
And the entryways.
Yeah.
right there. My favorite part about the chicken bone story, not to digress, was that where they put it was actually by where the books on witches and witchcraft were, which I just thought was amusing, right? Like, at least, if you're gonna leave your chicken bones. at
Maybe
least
there's a
have enough
conjure or
of that.
something.
It's fair.
So Kelly, with all of your experience in grounds and maintenance, can you think of any issues that might come up that they aren't thinking of, so we don't have to go back and have lots of change orders and, getting lots of, changes in the building because of the security?
I would dare say to that point, when Michael had recommended that we put a camera on the chiller, that's why I used it as an opportunity to say, if we're doing this for one camera, let's fix all the other spots while we're at it. So that is, I can't at this point in time think of anywhere else where we might need to place.
Not only place a camera, but what will be the effects of putting in a new security system on the structure? Will there be any,
No, like,
cosmetic? Will we need to bring in, plaster people?
no. This is like literally like
Yeah,
You know, it would sort of be like if we, not that we would, but like if I wanted to put another hi-hat here, right?
Mhm.
Like they're gonna cut a hole, they're gonna pop it in, they're gonna finish it, it'll be
Okay,
fine.
all right.
It shouldn't be, nothing is obtrusive. The only thing that we have to do, which is kind of fun, is, and I already have a local student who's gonna do it for me, is we have to build a birdhouse.
Oh, right.
For the outdoor camera to catch the plaza. So we'll have a very cute little birdhouse with no birds. I said, but what if a bird tries to live in the birdhouse?
Go in there.
Put a
Um,
screen,
What?
put a screen up.
That's weird. Yeah, so.
It'll become one of
You'll
those
notice,
bird watching cameras that you have in your house, and like.
like, I think my favorite part of the
I love
quote
this.
is it says birdhouse not included in pricing, and I'm like. I have a birdhouse. I said that we would pay for the birdhouse materials, but they're gonna do it as a community service project for us, which is nice. So, and they're super excited about it, so,
Even better.
so if you got,
Okay,
if you
can-
all,
Can somebody please make a motion to approve the security
I have a
system?
quick question. If it just stores footage for 3 months, is it worth it to put in so many more cameras?
Well, you're covering all the dead areas that are not being shown now.
Right.
And the 3 months is if you have an incident, you're gonna
you're gonna know within.
know
3 months
within the
that-
3 months, so.
Okay.
I think so, because it's not about the time, it's about the areas that are not currently being covered by the cameras.
Okay.
So, yeah, so like right now, here's a perfect example. So like right now, we had a bunch of guys working in that room with the door closed. If one of them wanted to come out and say like, oh, you know, like this faulty pipe hit me in the head, and sue the library, right? Like, we
You know, what I mean,
we don't have any, like, sure, okay, right? Or if somebody were to fall on the front steps, like, we would have no proof that
They actually
they
fell
actually fell or
there.
not.
Or fell on
And,
the street.
you know, there are other libraries who, as a result of their security systems, have been able to successfully fight false claims like that, like somebody, you know, like said like, oh.
Or if
I
there's an
felt
incident in the
yeah.
library, not just slip and fall, but if there's an incident in the library where something happens with a patron and a staff member or two patrons or whatever, you need to have,
The unthinkable, at least you
Yeah.
have it.
you would have it.
Yeah,
Is this system like in any way connected like to the cloud? Or is it self-contained and the information just stays right in there and then it just disappears?
it is managed by Digital Provisions, so it is on Digital Provisions server, so we basically like tap into their server, in
And
order.
they only keep it for.
And they only keep it for 3 months, and actually part of, we have a service contract with them as well, part of that service contract is, you know, we can actually have them pull the video footage for us as well, so
But can
if
you log
somebody.
in to like watch the videotape if you want
I
to,
could,
like without,
yeah.
yeah. okay.
And one of the times I had to do that is there was a girl who had a broken cell phone and they didn't know if, a friend of theirs took it out of their backpack and like took it and threw it down the stairs, or if, you know, it, like, they couldn't figure out how it fell. And so, you know, I sort of, it was very dramatic. The teens were like, there was fisticuffs. And so I don't generally do this, but Liz, who was the teen librarian at the time, was like, Kelly, can you just look at it and let me know what has transpired and, you know, like, see what's what. And actually what happened was, and I can't even believe this happened. Girl had the cell phone in the side pocket, like the water bottle holder of her backpack. And as she was going down the stairs, she hiked her backpack up and the phone popped out, went through the slat and hit the ground. So we saved a friendship. Because we could say like, no, your friend didn't steal your phone and throw it for funsies. Like, you can watch it go. And so, like,
That's worth it in itself.
right, but generally speaking, it's not something we go after.
All right, so I'll make a motion.
I have
Oh,
one
go ahead.
last question,
Sure, go
sorry.
ahead.
Are we responsible for any incidents on the sidewalk in front of the building, and do these cameras cover that if we are responsible for the sidewalk?
We are,
Any sidewalk
the village is
incidents?
responsible for the sidewalk. The
Okay.
village's sidewalk. It's the village's parking spot. It's the village's street.
Okay.
Our cameras only cover the library's property.
Okay,
So as soon as we take a step off that step, we're on
Yeah.
village.
Now,
Okay.
if you trip and one foot is on the sidewalk and one foot is on the step,
Yeah.
we're probably potentially going to get a portion of the sidewalk just because you can only cut the camera angle so far and still get what you need. But for me, it's like not getting the road. And, like for here, for example, the camera angle does catch this sidewalk here, but it's also so it catches the top of the step. So if somebody were to fall from the top step, we would have that angle.
Dan?
I would like to make a motion to approve the security camera upgrade.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? A security system upgrade approved.
Okay.
Three for public expression. Okay, we don't have an executive session on the agenda. Okay,
I would like to make a motion to adjourn at 7:22.
Second.
all in favor? Anyone want to stay?